welcome to Leveled Up Gaming, the only show where you earn XP just by watching. I think I'm going to stick with that one. And the more I say these things, the less cheesy they sound, so that joke's getting old too. Welcome to the show. This week, again, like I mentioned, there's not a lot happening in the gaming news. The NES Mini is coming out, or the NES Classic Edition. It's going to be out on November 11th. So, whether you're satisfied with the election results or not, you have a NES with 30 games in it. So that should cheer you up, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to get one, but it's getting reviewed right now by a lot of sites. So that's kind of a thing that's happening. I'm really excited, looking forward to this thing. Well, potentially excited. Because I think for $60 for 30 games, especially because it's playing on nostalgia, I think it's going to be do very well for them this holiday season if they can supply enough units. I think this is going to be one of those surprise things that people are not going to suspect, or they're going to take for granted. And when it happens and comes out, people are going to be like, damn, like, remember in 2016 when they released the NES Classic and everyone just lost it and couldn't get enough of it? People were searching for it. Maybe that's exaggerated. It probably is. I'm not going to say maybe that's exaggerated. But, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising since everyone either has a new console already, because there's no new ones coming out besides PS4 Pro. And that's kind of a meh. Like, if you really need it, nobody needs that. If you really want it, you're going to get it. But I doubt that that's going to do Sony any good in terms of sales. But yeah, there's no new consoles, just new games. So this holiday season is going to be very stable. I also think, I don't know if it's the election or what, but I feel like just different things I've been hearing about how people are spending their money, it's just a little bit on the down. I know GameStop recently released that the month of October was underperforming in terms of game sales. That's physical. I don't know how they count digital sales on the platforms or on Steam or on the Microsoft Store or, there's other ones. I just can't remember their names right now. But yeah, so, holiday season is in full swing, literally. I work at a grocery store, and we put out our turkeys already, and people are getting all the other holiday items like eggnog and things like that. It's here. But for this episode, what I really wanted to focus on was last week, I think, Bethesda. Hold on, I have a thing right here. Bethesda. They are the makers of the Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim and Oblivion before that. They make Fallout games. Dishonored is another franchise. They recently released Doom this past year, and they make Prey is another franchise they have. So Fallout does really good for them, and the Elder Scrolls games, those do very well for them. They're releasing a remastered edition of Skyrim, and that game's like 3 years old, I believe. Maybe 5. I'm not too sure. I know it's an older game, and the fact that they're able to still go into that well, shows the power of that franchise, especially when you add the modding community. But so basically they released something on a blog, I believe, or just a statement saying that they're no longer going to give review copies to media outlets. They're just gonna have to, the earliest is a day before release, which might as well just be the release day. And what was interesting about this dialect that was happening was that in the media, the outlets were pretty mad across the board. Some more than others. I know IGN was really pissed. A lot of their podcasts that I would listen to, they take it, a lot of media outlets just see it as a form of, this is anti-consumer, this is hurting the industry, they're hurting themselves because they're not able to get advertising out. They just see it very negatively. And I was taking it differently. And it's probably because I just started doing my own little show on the YouTubes. on YouTube. So I see it kind of as a positive from my side. But more specifically, the people who are more entrenched in video game reviews and coverage of it makes us all equal. And because one of the things they were arguing was it becomes a race to the bottom, basically. It becomes a race to the bottom, basically, of who can get the review out the fastest. So the game's only been out a day. we'll each play it for about an hour or two, and you're gonna have YouTubers spitting out, "Oh, I reviewed the game," even though they only played the first 2 hours, and you're gonna have media outlets saying, "Oh, I reviewed the game because I had an editor stay up for the past 24 hours, so we played 18 hours versus so and so's 7 hours of coverage." But I don't. Again, I feel like it kind of puts YouTubers or the smaller guys on the same level playing field as the bigger guys, and I see that as an overall positive, because then it does discourage pre-orders, which is something that a lot of people have been trying to tell consumers of, like, don't pre-order, because all you're doing is incentivizing the publishers from, like, scamming you with pre-orders, whether it's early releases or just gimmicky tchotchke items like night vision goggles or remote controlled Titans or whatever else fancy dumb stuff that they try to get you to get with pre-orders. Now people probably won't pre-order Bethesda games because they're not sure if it's going to be a good product until the day it's released. But when it does come out, I feel like it's going to give them a longer, what's the word? Not necessarily an evergreen title where it can sell for long periods of time, but they're going to have a bigger window that's specifically for Bethesda games. So to me, I see it as if Activision releases, I don't know, that's a bad one because I'm not too hip to the jive with what Activision's releasing. I don't want to say Call of Duty because I know they have like 3 different studios making those games. But let's say, let's say a Call of Duty comes out. Everyone knows you're going to get coverage beforehand. And that's another stipulation. They didn't say that they weren't going to give out copies for people to preview. They just said the final review build, when the game's gone gold, they're not going to give that to the media outlets until the day of or the day before. So they're going to have preview coverage. They're just not going to actually have reviews. But again, what were they saying? Oh, yeah. So you're going to know a score or know a general gist of what Call of Duty is going to be leading up to the release and then afterwards. And even now they're having reviews in progress because they're trying to test the online infrastructure and this and that. To me, it's kind of similar. You're going to have previews leading up to a Bethesda release. And when it releases, you're going to have people basically waiting and then absorbing the content that everyone's creating, whether it's small guys or large outlets, of, okay, what did this game get? They're going to be jumping on Metacritic, and then they're going to be slowly buying it over time, almost like instead of loading it in the back end before release of preview coverage and stuff like that, they're almost front loading it, where now people are playing it, they're going to start critiquing it or praising it after its release. Because right now, I feel like that's kind of how the industry's run, where a game is hyped, once it's released, it's judged, and then move on to the next big game. Which, love it or hate it, it's kind of the way it is, whether you like it or not. And, I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but, like, oh my gosh, that Blizzard game, Overwatch, that thing's huge. What was it? Destiny was big for a while. Some games have long legs, but those are fringe cases. And again, I feel like Bethesda titles have those long legs with Fallout and the Elder Scrolls series. But it's just funny because I thought it was funny because you see the large outlets kind of complaining, and I see it as y'all are just intimidated by what this means in the industry, because I feel like they're realizing, as well as the small people, are like, hey, we can now cover the same things and be on a level playing field, which lowers the large outlets to the little guys level, but also raises the YouTubers to a higher level, to where now they meet in the middle. And the reason that's interesting is because I think large media outlets have kind of let it get to their head that they're entitled to certain things. And that's kind of what I see when they're complaining of, like, well, it's not fair to the consumer, it's this and that. It's like, no, you're scared because now that you're on a level playing field, you know that you can be undercut by the little guy. You know that you have more people to compete against when it comes to this specific game or review. And it's intimidating and scary if other publishers and developers follow suit. Like if GTA said this, if Rockstar said this, or if, a Blizzard said this. Like, a more big companies started saying this, it would scare the industry, because right now I feel like the industry is just flooded with clickbaity articles and filler and just preview after preview. And it's funny because you always hear them. They talk about how games are overhyped and overcovered of just like, by the time the game's released, you just kind of want to play it and judge it yourself. I feel like what Bethesda's doing, if other people follow suit, that's exactly what we're doing. We're now giving it to the consumer for them to judge, for them to critique it. Because before media, you did have to just buy games, which sounds like shitty, but at the same time, you were more careful and more critical of what you would buy. You wouldn't just buy what, the big corporations or what other people say. I know I've been saying big corporations and media outlets a lot, but I don't want y'all to think I'm some sort of like Bernie Sanders guy of like, we need to stop. The little guys need to rise up. Like, no, I'm not anything like that. I'm just saying I think it's just a natural progression that as you get bigger as a company, corporation, entity, person, idea, you do kind of just get more power, and with more power is more responsibility, and a lot of times we forget that we need to be responsible with that power. And that's kind of what I'm saying, is that these large media outlets, like I'm saying, they're intimidated because now they're seeing, oh shit, like our powers, this title, this publisher in particular, has taken some of our power and given it to the regular guy, the regular YouTuber on the show. And so it's really interesting stuff. I think other developers and publishers should start doing this more. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I just think it's a refreshing take, because I do think, which maybe we'll cover in a different episode, I do think the game industry moves too fast for its own good. I think industries and technology and computers and science, they move too fast for their own good, which I'll cover in another topic, maybe on subject matters. But yeah, so yeah, those are my thoughts right now, and that's where I wanted to level up your knowledge with just this whole topic of Bethesda and how they're handling reviews and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this talk. Yeah, so much of a talk. But yeah, I mean, please guys, if anybody's watching this, which I know people are, I look at analytics, but I know that whoever is watching it isn't commenting. So please comment so we can get a conversation going. I'll respond to you in the comments, or I'll respond to you in the next week's video. Please share these videos with your friends and family. Post it on Facebook, which I will cover in subject matters. That'll be my next topic, is Facebook and social media. In case you want to check that out, as to why I don't have a Facebook or why I'm not out there on social media. There's a reason. Probably not a good one. Probably does hurt me in the end. But yeah, tune into that. Like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys next week on Leveled Up Gaming. Keep earning that XP, and I will talk to you later. Bye.